Okay, welcome to Advanced Sanding. Here is where we're going to show you how you can go below the 400 that we showed you that our kits comes with. So we have the 4, 6, and 8, and then we put on our product. But we all know that some headlights are really bad. We have Chrysler 300s, BMWs, the Ford F-150s. You'll notice that when you get into a lot of these headlights, the sandblasting occurs. So in the 2012s higher, you're going to see a lot of these cars where they're going to come in where they're sandblasted in the top and then they're really clear kind of on the bottom, so they don't look that bad. But if you're using your 400 grit sandpaper, you're going to be able to wet sand and clear this section out, but you're going to have a really hard time clearing or getting rid of this clear coat that's on the bottom section because it's so thick. And if you get a lot of stone chipping in this and people say, I want to clean that up, the 400, you can do it, but it's going to take you a lot of elbow grease. So when we have dealers that are on the side of the road doing headlights back to back to back to back, you're going to throw out your arm. You're going to just work your guts out for, mainly the sanding. And with that, we all know that 99% of the work is all done in the sanding. Whatever you want done or how good you want your headlight coming out, it all is determined by sanding. And now, what I wanted to do was to speed up, find a way to get rid of that clear coat or the clear coat peeling so I can push these cars through at 15 minutes at a time. So how do we pick that up? Once you've learned hand sanding, because it's very important to really work on your hand sanding, once you've done that, now we can switch to the orbital. Okay, so this is very aggressive, so you're going to want to really practice. If you haven't used an orbital, you're really going to want to practice using one, because again, if you hit this, when you go to lower grits to any paint, it will take it off in seconds. So you really want to make sure that you're comfortable with an orbital and you know where it is at all time. This is a 5-inch orbital. They're really cheap. You can get them at Harbor Freight, Princess Auto, depending on where you are. And again, I think this was like $30. So I mean, it's really cheap, and we've used this for a couple of years now. So I mean, they're very durable. They work great. They're variable speed, and it's a great orbital sander. Now, you'll notice on the shelves, if you pick this up, that you can purchase these kits like this. Okay, so these kits, they're really expensive for what you get. You're only purchasing, say, 5 or 6, or I think in one of these packages, and they're like $7, $8. That's a lot of money, and a lot of the time you're going to go really far down in grits. What I recommend is sometimes, grab a couple of these, put them in your sandbox, just in case you do need them, because there is times on Luminas and some of these vehicles, I've dropped as low as 80 grit sandpaper to really get that hard clear coat off of the bottom to start back at a plastic lens. But that being said, 99% of the time, we're just trying to speed up the process and get rid of that clear. And what really works really well is we go to an automotive body shop place where they sell all the supplies for body shops, and we buy the Velcro backer pads. You can get 5-inch. Most of the time, I hate to say it, you're going to have these companies probably order you these in because their average are 6-inch pads. So with a 6-inch pad, I buy them because they're cheap. Instead of getting like 6 or 8 or whatever it is in that little kit for $7, $8, you'll get 50 or 100 of these for 20. So this is a lot cheaper way of going. And so yeah, so what you're going to do is when you go to some of these shops, they're only going to really carry in stock because most of the body shops are going to use 6-inch pads. So this is a 240 6-inch pad. So I'm going to pick them up, which is not a problem, and I'm going to just throw it on the pad just like this. Who cares, right? Grab a pair of scissors and hold it and just quickly cut around the edge. So you're going up to the pad. We do this with all of them because, again, it's a lot easier to get a 6-inch pad than it is to custom order all these 5-inch pads. And there's really no difference in cost. So you take the couple of seconds and you just cut that. Now, again, you're going to want to open a hood. And as you can see on this car here, I've eliminated having to tape off this. So it allows me to go past this and not worry about hitting anything. But you are going to want to tape the edges. And sometimes you may want to opt out to tape double, because again, if you're dropping down to 240 grit, you know that that sandpaper hits that, it's going to burn that edge very quickly. So you may opt to double your tape onto the edges, so you know you're not going to burn through and hit somebody's paint job. I've been doing this a long time. I've never done it so far because I'm always really, really careful when I tape. But again, this is what I mean by advanced sanding. You're going to want to be really comfortable with that sander. So you're going to tape up your areas and you're going to have it done. Now, once you have your sander ready and it's all taped off and you know what you're getting into, really look at your headlight. If it's at the top almost gone, that you'll see a lot of the time the clear coat's gone, but you'll see it starting to haze and get really bad. So I'll just quickly show you. So you'll see that this is really clear, but this is all like really painted and gone. You don't have to take this 240 and hit that spot if the clear coat is gone. There's no need for that. So we just want to really concentrate on the area that has a heavy clear coat onto it. And when I sand a headlight, I'll always watch my edge that I'm going to, and I'll do all my edges around first. Who cares about the center? We're going to work and just make sure all this off. Then I know that I haven't came close or hit any of the paint. So just to show you that is what we're doing. So now I've done all this edge, and you'll see that usually on the edge sides, they won't be as thick as what they are in the center. That's like with any paint job. If you come to an edge, will always be less product than what's in the center. So you'll really focus on this. Don't worry about your corner. You can wet sand out with 400. It'll come off if you need to. Now, so once you get that done, you'll start sanding all the center. Now, if you wipe this and clear this off, you will actually see what is plastic and what is left here of, say, clear, because it is start shrinking. You'll start seeing that you're eating at the clear. Only focus on that clear that could be in your way. You don't need to sand any more of the stuff that's already to plastic. You just need to concentrate, but try not to dig by putting your polisher up. Keep it flat on those surfaces and allow it to eat just those clear. So you might go to one section and just focus, but you'll watch it disappear. Once you know that all that clear has gone off the lens, you're done. So that was 240 grit sandpaper. Now you're gonna peel this off, and then I order 400 grit sandpaper. Let me try to find it here. So I order 400 grit sandpaper. And again, most of the time this one was 6 inches, and I cut it down to the 5-inch pad. Now, you're going to now want to do the whole lens, because this is saving you from now wet sanding 400. You have now eliminated your time right down. We can knock these out so fast by doing this, and this is why we love this system. Once you get comfortable, this is the only way you're going to really do it. But you're going to take on your 400. And again, you're going to want to do the same kind of thing. You're going to want to do your edges first. Make sure you got your edges really well, and then kind of do your center. Or, you know, you can do your center where you hadn't really touched yet. Now what you want to do is really make sure you get all over the whole lens, that you know that you have gotten rid of that 240 grit scratch. It's going to go very quickly and you're going to get it off. Now you're going to wipe it so you have a clean surface, and you can pretty much see if you've missed any spots, and you're going to get that off. Now what you've done is you've already done your sorry for the bike. You've already done your 240 grit, and then you jump to your 400, getting out those scratches. All you're having to wet sand now is your 6 and 8. And the reason why we've kept it and not jumped to a 6 and 8 with a sander, because we did try it, you're more apt to miss something with the sander than you knowing that you've hit everything with a hand sand. And because you're already clean, it's just plastic, it cleans this very fast. So I jump onto my 6 and my 8, I'm ready to do my step 1, 2, 3 process. So this shows you how fast it is to get rid of that clear, because we all know that, yeah, you might have a headlight that looks good in the top because that was really easy to get off, because most of the clear was already gone on this light, and this was hard. So you're working your guts and you're like, you know, this is an amazing way of just getting rid of all and bringing the whole lens back to plastic. I almost wish they never coated these lights, because that's causing more problems now than when they did just go yellow. So that's why our system is so amazing, that we get to knock this all down fast. And again, like I said, I have dropped down to some cars with 80 grit to get this off really fast, because some of these clears, usually in the older ones, are really thick and really hard. But I've had cars that have been in accidents that had scuffs in it. We can take like 120 and just get that scuff out, and then do your 240. Like I said, jump from your 240 to 400. Before we used to do 240, 320, and then up. Now it's actually just as easy, and you're not going to lose any scratches if you just go from 220, which gets 95% of vehicles perfect really fast, and then just jump to your 400. Wet sand with your 6 and your 8, and you're ready to now apply the step 1, 2, 3 product. But you'll see how clear that makes this lens, and this is why there is not a headlight you will not be able to fix. You will be able to fix every single lens that comes in. You're never now going to have somebody come into your shop and go, oh, that's on the inside, or that's really bad, because you don't want to do it, because you know that clear is so hard to get off, especially these Ford F-150s and BMWs and Chrysler 300s and all these cars that are more front facing, so the stone chips hit them really hard and they really pit the lens, but they're not so much going yellow, and that's why they don't want to touch any of these. You now can do that, and you can do it in 50 minutes. You can do it so fast, because you just take your 240, get the clear off, get the stone chips out, get everything you want out of it, then quickly jump to your 400, and then wet sand again, 6 and 8. So I hope this really helped you in seeing how fast this can really be, and eliminate all those steps, and bring your, you know, headlight restoration process to the forefront of your shop, and fast, and really want all these cars, and how fast you can do them. Thank you. Okay, so right now what we're going to do is we're going to show you the steps that you're going to take using the HR system. You're going to notice in your kit you're going to receive a 4, a 6, and an 8 full sheets of sandpaper. Okay, so right now we're going to focus on just sanding the headlights. This is the most important part of doing headlight restoration, is the sanding. If you don't do the sanding, or you leave scratches into it, you're going to have a really hard time getting it out. But we're going to show you how to take your sandpaper, fold it, cut it, and do it properly. Now, first off, we have the car here. We pull it in. First thing we do is we lift the hood. So you're going to want to make sure you lift your hood, because now here's a section we don't have to tape. We don't have to worry about getting the product up on the hood and so on and so forth, and a lot easier in sanding. So first, you're going to want to, before you get used to it, some cars you might, some cars you won't, depending on how confident you are in yourself, but you're going to want to tape around all the edges, because the last thing you want to do is scratch somebody's paint. I mean, you know, I know that one of the biggest scares is somebody sanding, and then all of a sudden you take somebody's paint. Doesn't matter how great your headlight looks at the end, they're going to notice that scratch on their car, and chances are they're not going to be too happy about it. So take your couple of seconds. Doesn't have to be pretty, just has to be on there, and tape off around the headlight so you know that you're not going to scratch any of their paint. Whether you want to use an inch roll or you're going to want to use a 2-inch roll, that's dependent on you. I usually use one, that's it, quickly go around it. Then I just know that I'm protecting my edges. Now, you're going to get a 4, 6, and an 8 of sandpaper. And what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to fold it first. You're not going to use this whole sheet on this headlight. So there's a way of folding this. You take your sheet of sandpaper, your rough side out, you're going to fold it from the long points, not the narrow points. You're going to take it from the long points, put them in, put them together, and then crease it, pulling it down. So this here starts your crease. Take your fingernail and try to get this as sharp as you can and as tight as you can. Some people may opt to take out a pair of scissors, cut it, that's totally fine. I don't, because again, it's all about time and speed. Cut your edge, give it a light little pull, another little pull, and there you've got your 2 sheets. Put this sheet aside for later, for another vehicle, and now you're going to be left with a rectangle here. What you're going to do is you're going to hold it backside, or rough side down, backside. You're going to fold this section over 3/4 of the way and start rolling this side over 3/4 of the way, so you're marking both your edge, your tip to this corner, that to that corner. Try to make it as square as possible so that when you lay them down, you pinch these 2 ends so you know it's across. Tap down all the way across. And what that has done is it's given you sandpaper on one side, 2 sides, and flip out, put that under when it's worn, and you have a new section. And it rests in your hand very nicely. So now you have a sandpaper where you have it really nice. I cut my thumb under this side, and I use it where I always run my fingers to where I'm sanding, whether it's at the bottom. So my fingers will rest on his paint and one edge of the sandpaper, so I can run that edge and sand. And I know I'm not going to hit their paint. I'm not going all over the thing and just trying to scuff it or whatever. This is extremely important. When I do any headlight, what I do is I break it off into sections so you don't get overwhelmed by headlight. And I watch a lot of people when I train them, that they get overwhelmed and they're just like, oh, I got here, I got over here, oh, I'm doing over here. That won't work. You'll never get it done. So you want to start at one point, going to the other point, knowing you've got every section. Now, you're going to want to try to sand most of it in one direction. And with the water, what we're going to do is you're going to wet your sandpaper really well and wet the headlight to get it sanded. Now, I always do edges first. So I will sand my edge. See how I'm stopping here because I don't want this going on there right now. And I will sand all the way up. And see how I'm just continuously staying in one section. But I know that I have gotten everything from that point all the way up. And I'll keep going till I finish the edge. And I'll go all the way down. And maybe back, but again, I'm working this section. I'm not concerned about this section. I want to make sure that I've hit everything and it's all uniformed and it's getting everything off that I want off. So now, if I take my microfiber and wipe this off, you can see all my lines running pretty much in one direction. And I'm sanding and making sure that I've got everything out. Once in a while, you might want to wipe it off as you're getting used to it. Eventually, you're going to do this with your eyes closed and you're going to be able to do this. Now, when I get to a corner, sometimes I'll fold this lightly and I'll just work this corner out. And just get that corner and know that I've gotten that corner. And that's it. Then I pull it back open and I'm good to go. Now, I'll position myself and I'll run down this side using my finger here as a guide again, and only pushing with that finger because all I'm trying to do right now is make sure I've got that edge really well. Because if you get done, your edges are your hardest thing. The center will always polish really well. It's the edges you have to be concerned with. So I really make sure I get my edges first, so I know I've done all the edges. Again, coming to the top, getting into a tight corner here, I'll fold my paper again, and I'll just work this corner. Make sure that I've gotten everything out of that corner. Now there, that's done. So it's all blended. Then I can proceed to sand this side. And I'll try to go back to the same lines in a sense that I was doing at the front. So if I was going side to side, I will go side to side with the side as well. I mean, sometimes in cars where they have really intricate lights, you're gonna have to go different directions. But if you can, try to keep all your lines going. And the reason why that is it allows the next grit to be a lot faster. So if you can keep all your lines pretty much going in one direction, except for maybe your edges, it's going to make the second step a lot faster. So there is your 400 done. So you can see that that's really scratched up, but all your lines are going in one direction. Now when I jump to my 600 from my 4, I'm going to do the exact same thing. The only difference, wet the paper, wet the light, start on my edges, do my edges first all the way across. But then, because I went this way with my 4, I'm going to go this way with my 6. And the reason why is because if you look at any jagged and you cross those jaggeds, it's going to be a lot easier taking that off and smoothing it and creating new lines than if you're trying to run in the same puddles that say a 600 or the 400 took. If you run this way, it's going to be a lot harder going through that than if I go on a bit of a 45 or I go on a bit of a different direction. It's going to knock those scratches out really fast. So I'm going to quickly, and you can feel in your hand, you can feel it get smoother. You can feel it run that plastic a lot smoother, almost like ice, where it was getting grippy. And then don't be afraid to use lots of water. I mean, again, your water is your lubricant. It's what's getting rid of everything. So again, one direction, cleaning up the sides. And I'm doing it in the video kind of a little bit different because I'm trying to stay away from the camera. But if I go up here, now I'm going to go in this direction, going back up to it. And making sure I get everything out of this. Now, again, folding over and making sure I get these corners again. And then getting into these corners, making sure I got this corner again. And now that headlight has been done with 600. And you'll notice that now all the lines are going in the other direction. They're going up and down, not side to side. Now with your 800, repeat the exact same system, going back the same way you did the 4. Now our product is so powerful, it will take out 600 scratches. We show that in our videos, that we'll sand a headlight with 600 and bring it back to crystal clear. Yes, we jump to 8. Why? It makes it just faster. I mean, if you can get rid of it and bring it down to 800, at least you know that if you miss a spot from the 6 to the 8, it's not going to be life-threatening. You're going to have to start over any of that stuff because our product will get rid of 600 scratches. But the better you do with, say, the 8, you get better with the 8 and you really get in there and get it off, make sure it's smooth. Your step 1 with the pads are going to be extremely fast because it's now not working as hard as if it was trying to get rid of all the 600 grit scratches. But again, don't worry if there's some 600 scratches left. you will get it out. But if there's 4, I'm not going to say that they're going to get it out. Sometimes they will, but most of the time you will see your 400 scratches if you haven't done a good job between your 4 and your 6. So it's really crucial that you do a really good sanding between your 4 and your 6. And now that headlight is ready to use our step 1 pad and our step 1 product. And as you can see, most people, and we love the reactions that they give us, because we will get done their headlight and we joke a lot of the time. We say, okay, there you go, have a nice day. And they start to panic because they pretty much feel that we have destroyed their headlights. Like when you look at these headlights, they are so scratched. Remember, again, most systems on the market that are out there right now, they only sand with 1200 to 1500 and go up to 3000 because they can't get rid of scratches. So most detail shops, or anybody that sees this and goes, and I bring this light into a detail shop and say, hey, can you fix it? Most guys are going to say, no, I can't, or what did you do? And if you say, well, it's sanded with 800 grit, they might go, okay, we can do it, but it's going to take us a really long time because they have to now go 1000, 1200, 1500, 2000, or 2500 to 3000, trying to get out and hope that they get every scratch of every grit past that. That's why our system is so amazing that we only did 4, 6, and 8. That's it. Our step 1 pad and products is going to bring out all these scratches, bring it back to original lens with no fillers, no oils, no silicones, and that's what you'll be watching in the next video, showing how to use our step 1. So this video here is all about sanding, and this is the most crucial part. I'm going to tell you that over and over and over again, because more people, it doesn't matter how much product you use with step 1, 2, 3, if you haven't done a good job sanding, it's going to show. So take your time, make sure this is the most amount of time and work and energy that's done it. And then if you watch our advanced sanding side, you'll see how we can do it even faster using sanding tools. But right now, hand sanded 4, 6, and 8, that lens now is ready to be restored with our step 1 pads and products, which will blow you away. Okay, now welcome to the polishing side. This is where all the magic happens. This is where people stand back and they're just blown away. So if we do go to a show or we do anything, this is where we do the sort of ta-da moment. So we will take a headlight, and we will sand it with 600 grit sandpaper, and we'll do our step 1 and pad, and everybody's blown away. So this is where 90% of the work is done, is with your step 1 product and your step 1 pad. Now, you're going to receive in your kit your step 1 pads, which you'll see they're sewn thin, and then you have your step 2, 3 pads, which are your fluffy wool pads. What I like to do is I always start off, if you're starting new with all new pads, it's going to take a little bit longer for these to go out. I like using used pads a lot more because you don't have to use as much product. So once they get built up, you won't be using a lot of product. Don't be cleaning these out and washing them every time you're done with them. We never wash our pads. I have a little steel tool that we just run it and maybe fluff it up a bit. But honestly, the worse off they get, as you can see here, this is pretty full and used. The better I like them. When I have to go to a new pad, I always hate it because it takes a little bit longer to get them to where they're really working fast. So this will last you quite a few vehicles before you ever throw this out. So don't just think, oh, this is getting bad, it's going out. No, most of the time we will find the backers will get destroyed before your pads actually do. So that being said, with you getting 3 pads, because we have step 1, step 2, and step 3 product, we are going to do this for longevity in your pads. You're going to start off with the step 1 pad is always your step 1 pad. Then we're going to have a step 2 pad, and you're going to do a new one for step 3 as well. Now, when step 2 is the one that's really going to get beat up, this one's going to last you the most amount of time, because all this is doing is putting on a top coat, so we need a really nice fluffy and puffy pad. So if this pad starts to, break down and start to be done, you say it's falling off, it's not working, throw this pad out, take your third step pad and bring it and turn it into your step 2 pad and get a new pad out to be your step 3. This will make your job and your pads last a lot longer than throwing them both out and replacing both. Always take your 3, drop it down to be your step 2 pad, and then just open a new step 3 pad and just keep replacing that process. So that's why you see here, this one here is pretty much like brand new. This one here is a little bit more rough and used, and then our step 1. So what we're going to show here is you take your pad, you put on your step 1 pad, your step 1 product, and I usually just do a, sorry about this, a little bit of product, not a lot. I mean, that seems like a bit, but it's not. Don't cake your whole pad. Don't try to do the whole headlight. That is another thing too, as well, as people want to rub this all over and then start doing it. No, you'll learn a little bit more as you get better at it. But I always say, do a section, do a section, do a section. Break your headlight into 4 groups if you have to. So sort of grid it off into 4. So you're not going to dry out your product before you get there. And you'll notice that if you have an overhang or you're underneath a tent or you're underneath something or in a garage, this is going to last a lot longer because it's not going to burn out. But you could be, which we do it a lot of the time, right in direct sunlight, it's going to dry out the product really quick. So I always say break down your headlight, and the better you get at it, the more area you're going to be able to cover, because you're going to know how much time you have to work with the product before and you don't want to burn through all your product. So first thing you're going to do is you're going to put it on and say, like I said, break it off into 4 sections. Rub your product into this, and I might actually break this into 2 because there was a lot of product on there. If you're breaking into 4, you'll break it off into a lot less product on your pad. But as you can see here, the pad is holding that product. We've got it on here. Okay, we're under an overhang, so the sun's not going to burn it out too fast, but that's great. Now, just like sanding, you're going to want to do your edges first. I always do my edges first, then do my center. So turn it all the way down, your polisher, your variable speed, all the way down to 0. Even if you have a corded drill, make sure you turn it all the way down as low just to work it in. So just a second. What you're going to do is you're going to turn on your polisher and just slowly go around, make sure it's worked into your pad. So all that product now is in my pad. It's worked completely inside my pad. I didn't lose it, didn't fly all over the place. It's all in this pad. Now I'm going to turn up my polisher to like 4 or 5, not applying a lot of pressure, and going around the outside edge, working my edge, because that is where 90% of you are going to miss if you don't do your edge first. So you know you've gotten your edge. Let the product do the work. I'm not pushing really hard on the polisher. Then I'm going to slowly let the product do the work without drying out. If it starts clumping or getting hard or grabbing, you're going to want to put either more product on it. So I'm going to try to make that happen right now, is where you get it to the point where your product starts to clump. But it's not going to do it because we're not drying it out enough. Sometimes if you have too much product, it's going to grab. But this isn't doing it. So right now, you can see now you can start seeing lines. That's actually burning. So you want to stop. You want to not push that or go any further. If you need to work in their area more, use a little bit more product. But right now you can see this is really, really, really good. This has got some scratches in it, absolutely. I don't care. We've got 90% of the scratches out. There's still another 10% of some scratching and some scarring. I don't care. Right now we're doing the majority of the work. Like I said, 90% of the work, as you can see from this to this. Drastic difference. But most of your work's done. There's nothing on this lens. There's nothing, you know, fillers, oils, you've literally taken out all those scratches. Again, now you're going to grab your number 1 and you're going to put a little bit more product on there. Like I said, not a lot. And do the exact same again. Turn down your polisher. Work it into the pad. Make sure you got it all in the pad. And now once it's in your pad, turn up your polisher and then do your edges again. And as you can see, it's fast. It takes that so fast. We're not pressuring this. We're letting the product do the work. And now down the side. And that's done. Through the center, keeping it as flat as you can. Again, I can almost do this with one hand on the back. This shows you I am not applying. I'm letting the product do the work. And as you can see, this lens is coming right back to like new. And I'm not applying any real pressure, nothing onto this lens. And that's it. Your step 1 is done. And as you see, 90% of this is gone. It's right back. But what we like to do is we take off the step 1 pad, throw on the step 2 pad. Now, a little trick that we do that really saves a lot of time, and it kind of makes our lights a little bit better as well, that you're not working so hard on number 2. I will throw on a very small amount first of step 1. I will work that in again over the whole lens. Again, you might want to section off if you're not used to it, or you're just learning and training. Turn your polisher again all the way down. It's always the same thing. All the way down, work it into the pad. And then I'll turn it right up. And I'll just use that step 1 product to even bring out a little bit more scratches. But it's really quick. I'm not working hard. I'm not doing anything. I'm just trying to get last little bits of those ones out, knowing that it's done. Again, maybe a little bit of pressure more than what I did, but not much. Don't let it burn. The biggest thing is do not let it burn. If it starts grabbing or doing it, stop. You have to add more product. Do not let it burn, because you will scar the plastic. So let the product do the work. That's why we don't put a lot of pressure on it, because we're not trying to burn. We're trying to allow the product to do all the work and the wool pad on top, but not pressure. Then I will jump to my step 2, same pad, put a little bit more on. And this is going to get most of all the other scratches out. So again, all over the whole lens. Turn it down. Turn it on. And again, if this was direct sunlight, you were out in it, the vehicle was really hot, I wouldn't do all this light. I would cut it down. But I'm going to turn it up. And I'm going to let it work itself. Let it do its job. Let it do its job. Let the product do everything. Turning it up on its edge a bit to make sure I get down into these edges. Across the top. And then slowly start picking it up. Letting itself work in until that product is disappearing. So you're using every bit of that product. And now sometimes what we'll do, and I'm going to show you this other little trick again, it's something that we do, kind of helps a little bit. Because we're going back and forth, you're seeing all those swirls. Now if you turn your pad up on its edge and start going this way, just lightly, do not put any pressure because there's not a lot of anything on this. It will take your swirls and turn them into more lines. So I will turn it at the end and sort of edge it, not even working hard. Go down. And I'll just sort of like use the buffer to really clean up that lens, and you can see all those little lines going away. So now you don't have the swirl marks. You don't have the swirl marks anymore. It just makes it really uniform and clean. So that's it. There's your step 2 done. And those scratches are pretty much gone. And now you take off that pad, you put on your step 3 pad, and this is just your protectant. This is just high quality wax protecting everything. And we throw a little bit on the pad. This here you don't need very much at all. That was actually too much. Push it around the lens, make sure it's all coated. Again, the exact same method. There's nothing different about any of the systems. It's just how slow or whatever you work. But again, the more you do this, the faster you get. Turn it down, put it into the pad, and then you're heating the product into the lens by just turning it up and letting the product heat itself into the lens. Just let this product work its way in. I'm just directing it. Bring it up on its edge. Again, getting your corner. You're not going to hurt the paint. That's the beauty about this. You can hit their vehicle. This is not going to affect their paint. If anything, it's going to help it. But you're not going to do any damage, and that's the beauty of this product too. And it's body shop safe. Has no silicones, no oils in it. Just go around your lens. Again, you can turn up if you want. If you see any swirling, and get rid of some swirling. Go up on its edge. Now I'll take it off, turn it off, take the microfiber and wipe the lens. And now, as you can see, there's no fillers, no oils, no silicone. There's nothing on this lens that's gonna get off through car washes. You know, maybe the coating won't be there as long, but your lens has to do everything it did before to try to come back or turn yellow or go. So your warranty, that's how we offer a lifetime warranty. So if they were to come back, say in a year and a half, 2 years, they still own the car, they come back, they say, my lights are looking a little gungy, and I'll show you in another video as that as a touch-up, you don't even have to do half of what you've done. All you're going to do is take your step 2 pad, go over top, it's going to bring it right back instantly, and your step 3, and send them on the way. So you might be 2 minutes to touch up a set of lights because you've already done all the work. All the work was done at the beginning when you sanded all the clear, got everything rid of it, and brought the lens back. So if you're just maintaining their lens every couple of years, or if they do come back, and like I said, I think in 4 years I've only touched up like 3 cars, and like I said, it takes seconds. So this is how we offer a lifetime warranty on our lenses, and there's not a lens that we can't fix. Once you get good at this and you start feeling confident, and you want to, you might want to do this early, it's totally up to you. Take a look at the video that we put on for advanced sanding. It's going to show you how we can even speed up the sanding. As you can see, 90% of the work was all done in the sanding process. The product does the work, and it does a beautiful job with very little effort. So your most amount of work is done in getting out of breath, as you can tell I was, because I'm fat. But anyhow, the biggest problem is that you're doing most of your work in your sanding. So if you want to speed that up, take a look at the advanced sanding video, and it's going to show you how we can drop even further in grits, but even speed up the end process and still get these beautiful exact same results, but making your job a lot easier, that you're not working so hard sanding through 400, because again, in some of these vehicles, you're going to find that that clear coat that's down towards the bottom is always going to be a lot thicker and a lot harder to try to get through. So that advanced video is really going to help you out and show you. So I hope you enjoy these videos. If you have any questions, again, feel free to call in, text me, email me, and let me know if you have any questions or concern, and I can walk you through any process that you might be having. All right, thank you. That's what you might be having. All right, thank you.